Hello, this is Alexander Lee. This is my first recorded video. I'm still hoping to get all the kinks worked out. See, I had to buy an offhand camera, and when you know it, the app that's supposed to let me see what I'm recording doesn't work. So this is kind of a jury-rigged setup, so I'm hoping the quality comes out okay. If it doesn't, I'm going to be re-recording all of this, so yay! Now if you clicked on this video because of the title, which unless you have a habit of searching random videos on YouTube, I assume is the case, then I want you to look at me and tell me, what is the worst thing this man could have possibly been called in his life? Now let's assume we're on the same page here and say you probably guessed the N-word. I don't know if I can actually say that on YouTube, so just gonna go with N-word. You would be wrong. But before I can tell you what it is, let's set the scene and prepare for a story. Now, the people involved are friends and friends of friends, so I will not be using names. Instead, I will just be referring to them as persons 1, 2, 3, etc. Now, this all takes place on Discord. I normally have it running in the background of my computer and not paying attention to it, but this day, when I decided to look at it, I see that they are having a discussion about Jack Black and his new gaming YouTube channel. I haven't checked that out, but it sounds awesome. Person 1 mentions, he's using the same chair as PewDiePie, even mentions it in the video. Person 2 asks, why would he want a chair with a swastika on it? It doesn't, and he's not a Nazi, though it's become somewhat of a running joke in the community. Person 1 even puts a small laughing face to show that it's a lighthearted mood. Condensing the next part down for the sake of brevity, the conversation breaks down into, how can you casually use the N-word on a stream that is supposed to be family-friendly, and just how toxic and just as bad his fan base is. This is when I decided to take part in the conversation against my better judgment, and I said just 2 words. Who cares? I don't really think anyone should use that word. I respond, what's it matter? Now please note, I came into this conversation on no one's side. Words are just words, and while I might be a little miffed if someone calls me the N-word, I don't really care if you say it, so long as it's not directed at me or my loved ones. It's demeaning. Every insult is demeaning. That's the point! At this point we have person 3 enter the fray, who simply says, but it's not. Oh boy, here we go. If you don't think the N-word is demeaning, you're either ignorant or bigoted. I had to ask if it was me he was talking to. It wasn't, it was person 3. And said, if he was, that would be hilarious. You can probably guess why. And my remark gets a laugh from everyone except person 2. Okay, so this next part is going to be using some language I don't know if YouTube is going to be happy with. I've only recently learned how to remove the background noise from my audio, so if I can figure out how to put the word up on the screen, I will, and I'll simply take out the part of me actually saying it. Otherwise, anyone who got that, let me know in the comments, please. Moving on. Person 1 brings up, being called a cunt is demeaning as well. Person 2 says, cunt has not been used to systematically oppress women. Person 1 counters with, no, but slut has. I shoehorn my way back in with, neither is the N-word. Words don't oppress people, actions do, but they don't respond to my comment just yet. In fact, I'm going to be doing some doctoring of the conversation from here on out. As I said before, this happened on Discord, so of course there were comments interjected in between someone finishing their thought. I should still have the gist of the conversation down though, so back to the action. Yes, slut has been used, but that's not what's being discussed right now. And plus, women weren't slaves. White women anyway. Every woman is a slut if they sleep with more than one man. And I could be an ass and say I have black in my family, and Native American, thank you. But I'm not going to do that because it's not cool. I never got the point of making that claim. Is it supposed to add more validity to your argument or something? Perhaps someone can let me know. Now this is where my comments, I think, slowly start to make me a contender in this bout. Look, Leo, have women ever been turned away from some place because no sluts allowed? I don't have a chance to respond, but person 1 says, no, but they were killed because it's a sin. And you don't think black people were killed for little to no reason whatsoever? Lynch mobs, hello? Yes, but I didn't do that. I wasn't a part of that. There's then a brief tangent about how person 1 would have tried to help black people escape should they have been alive in that time, and me telling them how unlikely that would have been to work. I then come back in wanting to know, how did a discussion about the use of the N-word turn into the Oppression Olympics? See, the thing is, you don't have to have been there to realize that it's been a massive problem throughout American history. And doing the same thing as the oppressors did is fucked up. Yeah, you slipped the N-word once, but when you did, you were really apologetic about it. PewDiePie, not so much. Okay, first off, the only time a word slips is when you use it so much in casual conversation that it becomes second nature. And slipping is only using it in the presence of someone you wouldn't have used it in before. There's a brief tangent about how PewDiePie had an entire stream about how sorry he was, and then about how his fans are trying to defend him by saying it's just gamer stuff. I come in again. No one is doing what the oppressors did. The only modern-day lynchings are in the court of public opinion. If you want to play and enjoy games, fine. But don't be the asshole that acts like they're 12 when you're in your 30s. That's when you need to be ridiculed and shamed. For using language others don't like? It's not just language others don't like. Words actually have a fucking effect on people, and I don't care what you say. They have a tangible effect on people's mental health. Words carry weight. Nobody has the right to say whatever they want. The whole free speech argument is bullshit, because there's no such thing as free speech. Even in America, where people think they have it, but they don't. It's at this point I realize the conversation is going to get political, or at least dangerously close, which is never a good idea to get into a discussion with your friend's significant other. So I decide to say, I would love to be informed of how that is. The most obvious example is you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's a call to action. Yeah, speech. No. A call to action and speech use the same medium, words, but they are not the same thing. Okay then, let's look at some other examples, particularly leftist protests that have been suppressed by the police. Meanwhile, literal Nazis get police escorts. I wonder why that is. Person 1 comes in asking what a leftist is, and it's at this point we both kind of reveal we don't know a thing about the political scale. Person 2 was kind enough to send us a diagram, labeling everything from communism to fascism. I have it saved on my computer now. So I asked, what protests, and were they peaceful? He links a video, UC Davis protesters pepper sprayed. At the time I just said, I won't argue that bad things happen, but a single incident doesn't really prove that free speech doesn't exist. Though I have a slight bit of more knowledge on the matter now, I guess the protesters were told to leave, and they didn't. Person 4 arrives now. This is person 2's significant other, and he just asks, what the hell did I miss? I let them know this all started over the N-word. Person 4 is non-confrontational, but also a bit of an instigator. He will take the bad side of an argument just to annoy you, even if he doesn't believe in it. In this instance, he just kept coming up with solutions to the non-existent problem, which usually ended with kill all humans. Solution. Kill all humans. No humans, no drama. The end. So I won't keep mentioning his posts unless they become relevant. Person 1 then mentions, that video was years ago. I utterly hate cops are bad content. Yes, cops are horrible. All cops are bastards. ACOB. ACOB is apparently an acronym for All Cops Are Bastards. The image of it is also all in Old English font letters. Rat. See, I was confused at first, and I had to have it clarified that this was not sarcasm. Another video was linked from the anti-media titled #ACOB, Why the Institution of Policing Makes All Police Bastards. Person 1 is actually friends with several policemen, so this noticeably angered them. They sarcastically said how they were just going to go tell them all how such bad people they were. I myself am reasonably acquainted with one cop, but at the time I wasn't even thinking about that. Cops deserve the guillotine. They are class traitors used to enforce the will of capital, and I'd say it to their face and spit in it while I'm at it. And they're the horrible ones? What's this based on? Look, y'all live in the back country where not much shit goes down. I live in the big city, where I see people get stopped for literally nothing, and get beaten by police and shipped off to jail. This argument is ridiculous. I cannot stand people using this bullshit argument to try and discredit people's opinions. It's like the countless times when I was a child that someone would say, look, you're a child, I'm not going to argue with you. First off, if you can't explain your point of view to a child, then maybe there is something wrong with it. I can explain mine, and I do. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't take a genius to know that blanket statements are inherently wrong. Person 1 goes on to mention how there are still plenty of crimes committed in our areas. Drug raids, break-ins, there's bodies found, incoming rant. There are no good cops. Laws and ethics are not the same thing. Laws do not prevent crimes from happening. People having their needs met does. One cannot be a good person and enforce unjust laws. I didn't get a chance to say this, but I think this is complete nonsense. Some people are inherently bad. Evil exists, and a utopian society is a work of fiction. Nobody is born a cop. Joining is a choice. It's more akin to saying all KKK are bastards. Priests are not required to molest children, but cops are required to follow orders that oppress poor people and target people of color. So in one go, we have compared child molester priests, the KKK, and police. That was definitely a first for me. But maybe that's just because I'm a backwoods country bumpkin. Every cop must obey orders without question. They are required to enforce unethical laws or risk losing their job, which provides them with comfortable income if they refuse. On the rare occasion that a cop does blow the whistle on injustice, the thin blue line is immediately invoked and the seemingly well-intentioned cops are ostracized by their peers, almost always neutralizing their intentions. Person 3 and 4 start saying stuff at this point that is kind of siding with person 2, but I know them. It was more pointing out obvious facts. In any system, you're expected to follow orders. There's an entire study about it after World War II, I believe, and how big city cops and rural cops are definitely not going to be the same thing. Now, this was all a lot of information to take in at once, so I tried to do it piecemeal. What laws are you talking about that are unjust and racist? Laws that are unjust and racist? Easy. The Taft-Hartley Act of 1947 meant to limit the power of laborers. The Controlled Substances Act, which is primarily used to target African Americans because the cop smelled pot. Anytime there's a protest, the cops say, "Oh no, we're here to make sure nobody gets hurt," while flinging tear gas and shooting people with water cannons and rubber bullets. "Oh no, they kicked over a trash can. Better get out the ARs." See, at this point, actual laws have been brought up. Actual things that can start bringing this into more comfortable debate territory. African Americans are the ones who statistically committed the crimes the most that they were stopped for. So that's not racism, that's profiling. I don't know anything about a law that was passed in 1947, so I won't comment on that. You know why they statistically commit crime? Because they were forced into poverty, thanks to our system not doing anything to fix how they were treated before the 60s. They're forced to steal to eat or feed their families. That is not just at all. Honestly, recently I was getting annoyed that my feed on YouTube showed nothing but political commentary, but watching them prepared me for this discussion, so I'm quite happy about that now. 1 or 2 years ago, I would have had none of the ammunition I had now. Actually, that has more to do with black society. Like how statistically there are more of them being raised in single-parent households. You know why they're in single-parent households? Because one of them is in jail because a cop locked him up for something stupid and unjust. Or because they committed a crime and were punished like the law says. The statistically higher likelihood. Alexander, you're not living in poverty, are you? No, I'm not. Now remember, this entire conversation has taken place on Discord, through text only. This is when it actually dawned on me. Person 2 has no idea what I look like. He has met roughly everyone in our friend group when he's come to visit his SO, or seen a picture of them on the Discord, except for me. I thought the brief exchange about if I live in poverty might give him a clue, but I think he was so caught up in trying to prove me wrong that he didn't read it. Alright, I'm just gonna write you off as a racist, okay? Me? Who, me? Leanhan. Quoting FBI crime statistics is a classic racist take. Literally everyone just responds in dots. That's what... And then me laughing my ass off on my end of the computer screen. Anyone want to tell him? He black. Okay, Uncle Tom then. Uncle Tom? I think he's saying you favor white people or something? I don't know. Now I thought it was some kind of slang, so I immediately went to the Urban Dictionary. But he was kind enough to send a link from Merriam-Webster. And I quote, "A black person who is overeager to win the approval of whites, as by obsequious behavior or uncritical acceptance of white values and goals. A person who is overly subservient to or cooperative with authority." He's not. Oh God, far from it. And the play-by-play ends there. He left the Discord shortly afterwards, and the only stuff that was left was a discussion about how pretty much every black person we know would have to be called that. Let's take a moment to examine this. This whole thing started over the use of offensive words, and the ending argument is calling me eager for acceptance and subservient. That is the most offensive thing I have ever been called, and I have been called the N-word before. Had I not been still laughing at being called a racist, I might have taken more offense to it at the time than I did. And note, before it was revealed what I look like, I was just a racist. Was it because I spouted bigoted opinions and biased arguments? No. It was because I approached a debate with facts and statistics. This is the biggest problem I have with modern culture. When you need specific words to describe and demean people who don't agree with you, then what's the point of debating you? How about I just let you stay in your own echo chamber? I grew up in a single-parent household, and not because my father was in jail. I grew up having my needs met. I might have been poor, but I wasn't impoverished. I have 2 siblings that know their fathers, and I am still arguably the one that's best off. I've experienced racism multiple times from multiple people, and I've defeated it. I've been lifelong friends with a white supremacist because I made him realize that it wasn't black people that he hated. This is the world we live in, where you have the opportunity to change what can happen to you, to defy the statistics, to defy what everyone thinks of as the natural order, by simply being a decent human being, by not blaming your problems on everyone else, by taking charge, by taking responsibility and accountability. But that's just one man's opinion. I'd be happy to hear your well thought out disagreements. Have a nice day.